Hello, everyone. Again, today I will be talking about the Niyama of devotion. This is part 4 in the series. And today I want to share a very important concept that will free you from a lot of suffering. And that is simply to view all the people in your life as aspects of God. And so, your parents, your spouse, your children, your relatives, your coworkers, your neighbors, your community, the people at your place of worship, all the passers-by on the street, all the people that you see in the bank or the grocery store or the dry cleaners or anywhere that you go, view all of them as that spark of divinity that is hidden inside them. Swami Kriyananda used to advise that we relate to people from our spiritual eye, this point between the eyebrows, to their spiritual eye, and feel that God is relating to God. In fact, this Namaste gesture from India means my soul bows to your soul. And if we can relate to people more and more in that way, we realize that we don't need anything from them. We don't want them to be any particular way. We only have kindness and love for them. We don't have any expectations. We don't have any desire for them to be any particular way, because we realize that it is the God in them that we love, and that God is with us in our own hearts. What this means is that we realize that what we love in anyone is really God. And who is loving us in anyone is God. And so, what need is there to feel it outwardly or desire it outwardly or lean on it outwardly when we have it all inwardly, with never a betrayal, never indifference, never abandonment, never anything that we need that is not known, because God knows everything that we need, and He will give it to us in the right time, in the right way, at the perfect moment. So, this is a very important exercise and a means of developing devotion for God, to see Him in everyone and to find Him in oneself. And so the way this plays out in our daily lives is that we suddenly don't have a need for people to do anything or be any particular way or perform in any particular manner. People can be themselves, and we recognize the uniqueness and the divinity in them. And we realize that God is loving us through all of our friends and relatives and family, but it's He who has manifested Himself in these forms, in this divine play, this Leela. There's a story of Krishna and the gopis. The gopis were cowherd girls, and when Krishna was growing up in the country in secret, because he was a great prince, and the king had heard a prophecy that Krishna would be his destruction, and so he was trying to find Krishna so he could kill him. And through the divine play, Krishna was carried to safety as a baby and grew up as a teenager, through his teenage years as a cowherd boy. And he played with the other cowherd boys and girls. And of course, all the gopi girls loved him and wanted to dance with him. And in this one Leela, this one divine play, each girl found that Krishna had manifested himself just for her and was dancing just with her, even though he was dancing and had manifested for each one of them. So we can feel that, we can contemplate that and draw that in and feel that in ourselves, that God has manifested for us as all of our loved ones, and worship Him in that form, realizing that He's not limited to that form. There's a worship practice in India in which a human baby, your child or a relative's child, this baby is like Krishna for you, like the baby Krishna. And so you bathe the baby, worshiping Krishna. You clothe the baby and feed the baby and rock the baby, feeling that that is God manifested to you. Imagine the sweetness of life when everyone and every person in your life, every spouse and child and parent and friend is speaking to you and loving you and caring for you. And that's just a bit of God peeking through that human being. But God is not limited to that. God is only giving you a little experience of His vast consciousness and infinite love for you. So when we feel that, when we treat people in that way, my soul bows to your soul, then if they act in imperfect ways, if they get angry and fly off the handle and swear and shout, and you realize, well, that's just a little spark of the divine that's now hidden in them. And you go into your own self and you smile because you realize that you don't really care what they do, what they don't do, how they act, because you just love that spark of the divine. That might be hidden right now, but you know it's there. And so you love that. And so they can act out all they want, and it doesn't affect you because your love is coming from God. You don't need them to be anything. All you have to do is love them. And I was listening to this Vietnamese uh, Buddhist teacher in an interview with Oprah Winfrey. And he was saying deep listening is one of the most healing things you can do for people. And I thought that is just so true, because when our loved ones act out, what we can do for them is not react and not create a shouting match, who can shout the loudest, but not have that knee-jerk reaction. Instead, to listen deeply with compassion, trying to ease their suffering. We don't need anything from them because we are finding it in our meditation, through our practices of all sorts, of developing our intuition, of searching out inspiration. We're finding it. We're finding our fulfillment. We're finding our inner satisfaction, our security, however you want to call it. We are finding what we need inside. And so we don't need it from outside. We don't need it from other people. And instead, if they need something, we can actually give it to them. And deep listening is one of the ways we can do it. Not offering tons of advice, not saying, oh, well, if you just did this, you'd fix that, But instead, just concentrating on easing their pain, hearing them, listening, and loving. And in these ways, we will practice the development of our devotion. And remember how important devotion is. And having it, we have everything. Because when we feel the love of God in our hearts, this is what we were born for. This is our destiny. That bliss of spirit is the only thing worthwhile in this world.